were so easy about it. You just roll with it.
Yeah. So what's up? It's Deborah. I'm so happy to be here with Laura. And this is take two, because our first take, we had a little bit of a whoopsie with power. And this is part of, what we do when we're trying to actually create new things and do important things. We have stuff that happens all the time. It's part of life. And so how do we roll with it? And one of the things that we're actually always trying to do, especially this year, of all years, is multitask. Because now everyone is in these close quarters, at home, and things are not as easy to do like at work. Maybe if we were used to going to an office, and now we're confined to one area, and now we have to kind of figure out how to make things work. So multitasking is a huge deal. So I'm really excited to have you on, Laura. But can you just start by introducing yourself? Because I'm sure people watching the replay, I removed the other one since it kind of stopped halfway. So just if you don't mind sharing again a little bit about yourself so people know who you are.
Of course. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be part of your group and be able to share with everybody. Laura McFadden. I've worked in very busy office environments for 30 plus years, managing a variety of departments, upwards of 40 employees at a time. And so for me, being able to support, currently I'm focusing on law firm office managers, confidently multitask while still holding their colleagues accountable for the team results, because there's so much happening. And you couldn't have said it better. Right now, this year is so crazy with the number of multitasking type events, and people who previously didn't need to really worry about it are experiencing this. So I think it's extremely important that we really focus on, what is multitasking? Can you actually multitask? Is it a possibility? And then how do we continue to be productive through the process? So thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I want to hear. So let's just hop in.
Okay.
Please share with us. I think the first question you asked was something to the effects of what is multitasking? How do you define it?
Well, so multitasking originally came about when computers started, because they could actually run different applications at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Well, then of course, all of the business gurus, all of us are, we can multitask. Oh, it's possible. So multitasking in a definition is the sharing of time between two different tasks. Almost think of it as like a timeshare, a property rental timeshare, where you're sharing it with somebody else. You move in for a little while, you enjoy your time there, and then you leave, and now somebody else moves in. It's the same kind of thing. However, the truth of the matter is the human brain isn't a computer. And it's not possible for the human brain to actually do two things at once. What's interesting, though, is so if I'm sitting there watching my favorite Netflix show and texting my friend, I'm thinking, I'm multitasking. What I don't realize is that I'm really not multitasking, but I've got a great brain up here that has the ability to handle this task and then switch quickly to the next. So it doesn't feel like I've missed anything while watching TV, so it feels like it's going at the same time, but it really isn't.
That is so true. And when you say that, it is incredibly true. So that having been said, I probably should stop playing solitaire when my daughter's reading to me, because I tend to do that. I tend to play a solitaire game while listening to her, and I'm thinking that I'm successfully multitasking, but maybe I need to recheck that.
Yes. Well, my favorite story of multitasking is being a little child, and this will age me a little bit, watching my mom talk on the telephone and cook dinner. Well, this is back in the days where the telephone had that long, stringy cord.
Yes.
And I would sit in the corner and I'd watch that cord go all over the kitchen as she was cooking and talking. But what I find fascinating, so my mom did it fabulously. Well, that's multitasking. She was doing two things at the exact same time. Well, now my daughter's 23 and she's living on her own. So I call her and it happens to be dinner time. She's trying to make something. Well, she's not as good at cooking as my mom was. So she'll say, oh, wait, mom, I have to read the recipe. Or mom, hold on, don't say something. I've got to do something. So then that's where it really started coming together that no, I mean, it can feel like we're multitasking, but when we're really good at something, we're almost doing it on autopilot.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's true. Like, it's true. Sometimes I can be like, I know I'm like that with like ironing. So I listen to personal development books while I iron because I know I can totally absorb what it's saying and still iron at the same time. But that's because I've been ironing so much since I was a little kid that I don't even have to, there's no thought required for me to iron.
Exactly.
So,
yes.
And it's true. Like if something is off, or now I'm thinking about it, like if for some reason, like I need to get water for the iron, or if something is off with the fabric and it's not iron, like I will pause the audio to try to figure out why, because now I have to switch to actually thinking about the ironing. Wow, I see it. I love how
click, click, click. There it
is. So you mentioned 3 ways to, I forget what it was. 3 ways to
remain productive.
Yes, remain productive. Yes.
Because back to in the business world, bosses are looking, they even have it in the want ads, must be able to multitask. Well, we've just discussed that. We know that that's not possible. So what they're really wanting is an individual who can manage all the priorities that have to get done at this time frame and be able to accomplish it. And how do you do that? So I have 3 tips that I can say I've used that have helped me. And so I want to be able to share it with everybody. Yeah, and there's simple things because I'm sure everybody knows this. Plan your work your plan. I don't remember who said it, so I'm sure everybody already creates a plan for the work week, and you know what days are going to be your busiest. And this holds true today if you're at home or if you're still in the office setting. Those interruptions are going to happen. So if your interruptions are going to happen, plan for them. Just work them into it. For me, at the first day of the month, I always have one report that I have to have done on the first business day of the month. Well, it just so happens that the first business day of the month is also our busiest with customer questions. And I know staff is going to come to me and it will be interrupting while I'm trying to focus on getting this done. So how do I do this? The report normally only takes about an hour for me to be able to get done. Uninterrupted, solid, focus time, an hour. But I actually schedule 2 hours in my day. And I let the person who I need to send the report to know that it won't be done until that time frame, because that way I'm scheduling in the interruptions.
I like that.
You have to prioritize. And yes, this report is extremely important. But if you have staff reporting to you and they need help, they need support, you need to be there for them as well. Yeah. So allow yourself, plan the time for the interruptions. It will take the stress off of you. You're not going to be bumping up to the deadline and having staff try to ask you questions. So that's the first tip that I can give.
I love it.
The second tip is make sure that you break your work down into bite-sized chunks.
Yes.
Now, so at one point in time, I worked on lots of spreadsheets. And I would literally set, okay, I'm going to work 10 lines of the spreadsheet. And then I was going to take, and not even really take a break. But more than anything, for me, it was at that point in time, the IMs would pop up to ask questions. So I would go 10 lines, check my IM, see what questions I can answer. If there's no IMs, great. I get to move on to my next 10 lines. However, I will say that then as I moved into different positions, it was more of I needed to write reports. Well, writing is more of a creative process, and it was harder to break it down into chunks. And so what I ended up, rather than breaking it down into lines when working on spreadsheets, I would do bite-sized time blocks.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Exactly. So I would 20 minutes of solid writing. And then at that point, I would actually leave my desk, walk around the office, check in, see what people needed, make sure that I hadn't missed anything, make sure that I was available. Everything's good. Okay, I go back and I would do another focused 20 minutes to write. That way, I wasn't in the middle of something getting interrupted. But I was being available and still accomplishing what needed to be done. And as I said, when it comes to writing, you have to be creative. So if you're being creative and then you get interrupted, you almost always lose that juice that was going. It's like, oh, what was I thinking?
Mm-hmm.
So I do encourage, break it down into chunks and allow yourself that opportunity to accomplish that little bit and then walk away. Another recommendation with breaking it down into chunks, as I said, I would, block in that time, that 20 minutes. Well, that would be considered uninterrupted time, which is great if you can do solid, uninterrupted scheduled time, fabulous. And sometimes you just have to do it. Mm-hmm. And in that case, what I recommend is to have a go-to person. And so what I would do is I would, if I had to, it was normally when I was writing evaluations for staff, didn't want to be interrupted, just needed to get it done. Give myself that block of time that I would say I am not able to be interrupted during this time frame. However, you can go to Joe. Joe is your go-to. Joe, if you absolutely can't answer it, then you can interrupt me. Or if the building's on fire or if the power goes out, you can come and interrupt me, because those things are going to happen. But at least I'm getting accomplished what I needed to. But what I really loved is the fact that I'm now building up somebody else. I'm making that individual, they're learning, they're understanding how to take these questions on. So I'm building my bench strength of individuals who can replace me in the future. And there's, in my opinion, there's nothing better than knowing that you're bringing people up with you. And the easiest way to do it is have confidence in them and allow them to be the point person for these interruptions, for these questions. It's a great way for them to learn. They know you have confidence in them.
Yeah.
So that would be the other item that I would recommend is delegate, do the dedicated, scheduled, uninterrupted blocks and have a go-to. And for right now, and I can't take credit for this, I actually heard this from one of my coworkers. Right now, she was working with her kids at home through this wonderful pandemic that we're going through. And what she has done is she has younger children. She posted on the outside of the door and she talked to her kids ahead of time. If there's a red piece of paper on the door, that means mommy can't be interrupted right now. If there's a green piece of paper on the door, that means you can interrupt me. Or if the door's open, of course, come and interrupt me. But it was a way to help the children to know, of all ages. So, at the adult level, you tell them, I need an hour uninterrupted. I've got to get this report done. But even at the children level, you're able to do this. Now, the important thing to think of there is you couldn't do an hour block. You might want to break that down into 10, 15-minute bite-sized chunks again. But being able to schedule that uninterrupted time will truly help. Then the final tip I have, real simple. What I discovered, and I discovered this the hard way, is that when I would be working on projects, I'd be reading, writing up board reports, and I was getting many interruptions. I would meet the deadline, I would send it on, pat myself on the back, I got everything accomplished. And then I would reread it and realize, oh my goodness, I can't believe I sent that in. It doesn't, the flow isn't there. It doesn't sound right. So I took it a step further. And on those busy days that I absolutely know that I'm going to have interruptions.
Sorry.
I schedule time on those days to then go back and review. So before I submit reports, I schedule the 10 minutes and I reread it to make sure that the flow, because as you're interrupted and you're writing something, your tone changes.
Yeah.
So I schedule that. Basically what it comes down to is lots of scheduling. And, you know, I do it here. I do my top 3 list. Oops, let's see, pull that over here. I do the top 3 things that I need to get accomplished. And I only put in writing my top 3. All of my other calendar items are on the electronic forms. But these tell me my top 3 priorities. And then anytime I get interrupted, I write down what I was last thinking of or what I was working on so that when I need to go back, this morning I was sending emails with attachments. And how many of us have forgotten the attachments when we send the email? I had a telephone call right in the middle. And so I wrote, save attachments.
Yes, yes.
Just, you know, something simple like that. So those are the tips I have. What questions can I answer for you?
Well, so circling back, can a manager multitask?
The technical answer is no. Will your boss expect you to? Yes. So it is a dilemma. And that's why scheduling and making sure that you allow and understand that you're going to have these competing projects that they need your time right then and there. And you have to be able to shift quickly. So having the tips of scheduling extra time to make sure that you can shift between and still be able to accomplish what needs to be accomplished. Having the go-to person, because you're right. No, technically we cannot multitask, but you will hear bosses ask for it.
It's really interesting too, because I think what's happening with the multitasking is they don't actually know what they're asking for, because what I actually see a lot of the time is what they want is someone who's able to do a full spectrum of types of work, not just manage 3 of the same kind of projects, right? Which is one set of things. But they're like, no, we want you to be able to answer the phone, get coffee, manage the project, you know, sweet talk a developer, and, you know, all these other things. And so kind of understanding that too when you come in to read. I mean, and I don't know if you've ever had to do this, but I know for me, it's like renegotiating expectations. So instead of saying like, you know, like saying, okay, I can do all these things, but do you really want me to? Because I'm really fast or efficient at these set types of things, and these types of things I can do, but it's going to take me a lot longer because I have to put a lot more effort into figuring them out and making them happen, even if they may be simpler for someone else. And one of the things I always encourage leaders to do is look at the strengths of each of their people and not force them into a box job description that, you know, that utilizes some of their strengths, but then also forces them to lean a lot on things that they're not as strong at. So that was one thing that came to my mind. And the other thing that came to my mind was also with chunking, that it's not just like time or like amount of activity, but it can also just be like when in the day you actually are the best at it. Like I've noticed that, like I schedule as much as possible my calls and things for the afternoons when my concentration is not as great. In the morning, I'd rather use that concentration for my content creation and for my like scheduling and all the things that normally in the afternoon, I'm like, I don't want to deal with it right now, but I can totally talk to somebody anytime and not have a problem. So I was curious what your thoughts were on those two things.
Definitely. So let me start with the last one first, because I wholly agree with you. Chunking of the tasks, that even goes as far as chunking. I'm only going to check my email so many times throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in the habit of doing that because I know staff and individuals can get a hold of me through the instant messenger. So I know that it's no longer email as much as it used to be. So I check my email 3 times during the day, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And that alone has really
Mm-hmm.
helped me be productive. And as you said, it also goes back to, when am I the most fresh? In the morning, I'm going to be able to review the work I did to submit to make sure it sounds right a lot better than I am at the end of the day, where my brain is just fried. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, exactly. Scheduling all of that. And then back to the multitasking. And as you said, and the bosses, the individuals that are hiring the leaders, they're really not clear on what they want. Well, they are very clear. They want you to do it all. That's what they want. And you've mentioned a great piece. You do need to communicate up front and set the expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been known to do this many times. If my boss comes to me and I'm working on this project, and they know I'm working on this project, it has a deadline, and they say, "Oh, by the way, we need you to cover the telephone for the next hour." Okay, I can do that, and I'd be happy to do that, but understand that this project over here that I was working on, it's not going to get done at this point in time. Are you okay with that? And it's just an honest conversation so that everybody knows where it's at. Transparency is a big piece.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I'm so glad we're on the same page on that. I think that's a really important thing to make, and all of this stuff really helps us to lessen our overwhelm and make us really enjoy our work better. And I know for me, like, everyone has a different happy sweet spot with that, like how much, how structured or how free flowing they want their schedule to be.
Mhm.
And there are no, like, I really love the points that you brought out today were excellent. I think they're very helpful. And I can see, like, the stuff I've been using and then the other stuff where I was like, oh yeah, like that's what I'm doing when I thought I was multitasking. But truthfully, it was just that one was kind of on like autopilot and was actually happening almost unconsciously, while the other was using my conscious thoughts. So this was really helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm so glad to be able to share some ideas, and hopefully it was beneficial for anybody out there. And as I said, if you want to discuss it more, I am offering the sample sessions, so please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be glad to be able to discuss more detail with you.
Yeah, so this is the benefit, and for those who are listening and watching, this is the benefit of having someone when they're moving into a new space, is that you can get incredible value that you normally won't get once they become completely established. So I really love that Laura's offering this. She offered it in our community, and I said, hey, let's share this, because this is something that, she's very experienced. She's put her 30 years of experience to helping you with overwhelm, helping you with managing time, or with those types of challenges. And so if you are someone who wants to take advantage of that, I think hopefully Laura will be able to leave in the comments her contact info, and I'll make sure I tag her there so she can have it in both platforms, so that you can get a hold of her and see if you guys can have a conversation. This is what it's all about. I mean, when we're supporting one another, when we're helping each other to grow and to really take a different sense of ownership of our leadership, instead of just feeling like we're at the mercy of our boss or schedules that weren't set by us or whatever it might be. When we take that power back, when we take that ownership back, it's incredibly freeing, and it just helps you to be able to make the impact, because that's what I'm all about, making the impact that you are here to make. And if these tools can help you to do so, take advantage of them. So it won't always be free. So now that she's making the offer, go ahead and let her know. Just let her know in the comments, or reach out to her privately and let her know that you're interested. And then I'm sure she can schedule something with you.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Laura. It's been an honor having you here with us.
It
And
was a pleasure. Thank you. I enjoyed it. It's wonderful being able to chat with like-minded people that understand that no, we don't really multitask, but we are asked to do it every day. So thank you, and it's Friday. Let's have a great weekend.
yes, likewise. All right, y'all. Have a great weekend.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.